Hello, that's what happens when you accidentally double click a button. Welcome to this week's episode of The Basement, where I am here, fresh off the 5K, unbathed, and still sweaty. I'm joined as always by Trevor.
I did not run a 5K.
I got a medal.
Wonderful.
It's okay though,
Congratulations.
because it doesn't really count for anything because Dan has his LA Marathon medal and mine's just gonna hang slightly lower than it and look really sad because Dan ran a freaking marathon.
Dan ran a marathon? I did
He
not know
did.
this.
Yeah, Dan is a marathon runner.
Wow.
I know, proud of him. So jelly. I wanted to
You should
do
have
it
went,
with
Dan.
him a couple years ago, but I forget why we didn't. And then COVID.
Fair. Fair. Uh, how
Hi,
was that? How was your
Haskell.
week? And yes, Haskell. Hello, hello. How was your week?
Busy, very busy. We went to Dallas on Tuesday to go see Dan saw a screening of Spencer, and then we were both able to do a screening of Come On, Come On. And then
Ooh.
on Thursday evening, we saw Eternals. And I think that's all I've watched this week as far as new releases go. What have you been up to this week?
I need to hear your thoughts on Come On, Come On. Because I love 20th Century Woman. So I'm very excited for this coming from Mike Mills.
Do you want to hear them now?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh my gosh, it was so great.
Yay.
I forget his name, Woody something. Oh my gosh, I feel bad that I don't know his name. The
Norman.
child actor.
Norman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was so good, and Joaquin Phoenix gave him all of the breathing room for him to shine. And Joaquin was like so subdued, but like it felt really authentic. And I like these like character study kind of films, like that are character driven instead of plot driven, especially when they're done well. It was visually gorgeous. So engaging. I really, really liked it.
Yeah. I listen, everybody. I mean, it's A24, so like I'm gonna be predisposed to at least like being mixed positive on it. Like it's just it's A24, but yeah, that's knowing that you liked it just makes me even more excited because I feel like we typically align as far as what we do and don't like.
Yeah, I
Um,
think at most we're like 5% off in either direction, but we generally feel pretty similarly.
Generally, yeah, yeah. There are a few differences. Halloween and the Matrix, but uh
But hey, I get why you think that way though. Like I totally respect that it hits differently because like I was alive for one of those and like watching it as it happened, it's going to make it different cuz
yeah.
it's amazing seeing something like that for the first time ever. So, like I get it.
Mhm.
Just like
Yeah,
some people are going to think like 40 years from now they're going to look back and be like me seeing Avengers Endgame was the most pivotal movie going experience of my life. And I will probably have a different experience than that. But that's just because, I was like 30 something when I saw Avengers Endgame,
yeah,
not like 14 or something.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's probably my favorite movie theater experience, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
And that's totally fine though. Like that's the amazing thing is that sometimes things just hit people differently.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, very, very excited for Come On, Come On. Love Mike Mills, and A24. So like, I'm here for it. Do you think it has any Oscars chances? Because the one thing I have heard was original screenplay, but
Hmm.
nothing really past that.
I could see that. I mean, I would love to think that that Woody Norman has an outside chance because he's so good. He's so so good. But in a year of fantastic performances, I don't see it happening, but I would be thrilled to see him get some really serious recognition.
Yeah, my only apprehension with Woody Norman, again, without seeing the film, I've heard that he's phenomenal from everybody who's seen the movie. But like they didn't even nominate Roman Griffin Davis for
I
Jojo Rabbit.
know.
So I if they didn't nominate him, I don't see this happening, especially since Jojo Rabbit got Best Picture, and I don't see Come On, Come On getting Best Picture in any.
Yeah, maybe they'll give it like the recognition for the acting though, since the film itself won't get much more. And I do think that in
Maybe.
a way, in different ways, he had different tasks to do as an actor than Roman Griffin Davis did in Jojo
Right.
Rabbit. So maybe they will reward it for being more grounded and feeling more authentic.
Yeah.
Even though there's nothing wrong with Jojo Rabbit at all, I love that
Mhm.
absurdity. So
Yeah.
who knows?
Lots of big child actor performances this year, though. I mean, we also have Jude Hill coming up in Belfast.
I'm so
And
excited
then
about that movie.
I feel so bad. I can't remember the Millicent Simmons in The Quiet Place Part Two.
Yes.
She was phenomenal. So hey, last year it was Alan Kim versus Helena Zengel, Minari, and News of the World. The child actor race is always interesting. Critics' Choice is like the biggest awarder. They give out the biggest award for child actor.
Yeah.
um, so it's always a fun, interesting race because you can kind of see some young emerging talent. But I think those are the big three this year.
Yeah, and
Oh,
Roman
and
Griffin
then,
Davis did win at Critics' Choice
yeah,
before.
yeah. I believe Amelia Jones is also eligible. She was under 21 when it was shot for Coda, so
Yeah.
that's also a possibility. But what did I watch?
Yes, what
That's
did
the
you
question.
watch?
So I kicked off the week by watching The 9 Lives of Christmas. Have you ever wondered what happened to Brandon Routh? He's doing Hallmark Christmas movies now.
Okay, I have to see this or my life will never be complete.
He gets okay. So let me read the synopsis from Letterboxd. With Christmas approaching, a handsome fireman, Brandon Routh, afraid of commitment, adopts a stray cat and meets a beautiful veterinary student who challenges his decisions to remain a confirmed bachelor.
Okay,
It
what
has
is
a
this called
3.0
again?
on Letterboxd. It has a 3.0 on Letterboxd, everybody. I give it 1 star because I don't like Hallmark because they make the same movie every single time. But yeah, The 9 Lives of Christmas, everybody, came out in 2014. But yeah, this is what Brandon Routh is up to now.
I have to see this movie. Oh my god, the images. Oh my god, I have to see this movie so bad. Oh my god. Hold on. We're bringing in some images here.
Hey, we got Blake Quick for the first time in the chat. Welcome, welcome.
Yes.
Glad you could watch for the first time. Got Ryan Payne. Yeah. Um
What is this movie? I don't understand it, and I want to so badly.
prepare to see
Look at how happy he looks.
there's no world where Brandon Routh, 8 years after being Superman, is happy doing a Hallmark Christmas movie.
You
He's not
don't know.
happy.
He gets to hang out with the cat.
Well, fair.
Oh,
Prepare
look,
to
there's
oh wait.
mistletoe. How did I forget? There's mistletoe in the picture. Look at that.
Well, yes, of course. I
Remember, I'm not Christmas smart. I don't notice all the Christmas stuff.
prepare to hear about much more Hallmark Christmas movies because they're on in our house all the time.
Okay, my
So
adoptive dad is obsessed with those movies. So I feel like we might have to have my dad and your parents or parent,
mom,
your
yeah,
mom, meet at some point.
yeah, maybe, and my younger sister, Clara, also like so our TV is basically taken up by Friends and Hallmark Christmas movies right now. Those are the two things.
That's legit.
Family, to quote Vin Diesel. Uh, Moving on, I then watched Guy Ritchie's latest film, Wrath of Man, which came out earlier this year. And quite honestly, I had to look at my letterbox to remember I watched this movie. I had forgotten I watched this movie until about 2 minutes ago. There's nothing wrong with it. I just forgot I watched the movie because it's very forgettable.
That's okay. I apparently have blocked out all memory of watching The Others. I don't know why I've done this. I don't remember anything about watching it, and I was not on pain medication following major surgery. I just don't remember.
Yeah, it was fine. I have that 2.5 out of 5. Like it did a fun thing, like where you saw, the same thing from multiple different perspectives. The Rashomon thing, which is just done by the last duel. But like, I don't know. It's a Jason Statham, Guy Ritchie action movie. Like, its ceiling isn't going to be that high for me because that's just not the type of thing that I am typically interested in. But it was pretty fun for what it was. And then I watched something that I was very, very much into, Lamb. Um, yes, all of it. Yes, please, yes. I
Really?
Yeah, I love this.
That makes me so much more excited because I feel like we're gonna line up on that pretty clearly, and I'm excited.
It's way less of a, oh geez, yeah, Ryan Payne. Oh yeah, I recall Josh Hartnett is in the Hallmark movie. That's very much correct. We need to make a list of like the biggest, like, I wonder if an Oscar nominee or Oscar winner has ever been in a Hallmark movie.
Someone definitely has.
Someone 100% has.
I gotta
Um,
say though, the Lacey Chabert like Hallmark series, I'm there for it because I just think she's adorable.
Fair, yeah. Um, so yeah, so Lamb, like, it was way less of a horror movie than I thought it would be. And it was much more just like about a family just having like a baby lamb and them just kind of grappling with it. And then like, the father's like brother comes in and he's like, what is this? And then they're just like, it's just our baby lamb. Then this is just about like, them like trying to get him like except like it's you know it okay, I do feel like Josh Hartnett is in a Hallmark movie. 1 second. 1 second. I like legitimately thought Josh Hartnett was in the Hallmark movie.
By the way, the answer, Blake, is no, not yet, but it is like top of the list. There's a couple of things. We finally got a screener for Eyes of Tammy Faye, so we're gonna be doing a lot of catch up watching, which is not having anything to do with the condiment, but just watching a bunch of movies that we're behind on. So very excited.
Josh Hartnett has produced a Hallmark movie starring friend of the Schmodown, Bonnie Somerville.
No way.
Yes.
He produced a Hallmark movie. My brain hurts. I don't understand anything anymore, Trevor. What's happening in the world?
I don't know. So Lamb, not the right time to phone. Different baby, different. Yeah.
You said baby, Trevor. I thought that's what you wanted.
I did. Yeah. I'm excited for you to see Eyes of Tammy Faye. I enjoyed it. It's a movie. It's like a lot of movie. I enjoyed it. Jessica Chastain and Andrew Garfield are like great, and then other than that, like it's a lot of movie. There's just a lot of movie happening in the movie, so it was fun.
I'm really excited, not 2 days from now, but after the next episode of The Basement, that Monday, we are going to see Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm so excited.
Yeah, Lamb was just really, really good, and I highly encourage everybody to check it out because it's great. And A24 can do no wrong, except for that weird Samuel L. Jackson, Haley Steinfeld Disney spin-off thing that they did in 2015. Moving on.
Oh, by the way, we also got into an LA screening of Nightmare Alley while we're there next month.
I'm so excited for that.
Me too.
Yeah. So excited. I rewatched Get Out. Because it's great.
We were talking about that during the 5K today.
Nice. Then I watched Hereditary.
Oh, I love that movie so much.
And it's a perfect movie, just so everybody knows. Um, yeah, I need to just keep watching it, I guess. Um,
Hey, I'm not gonna fight you on that. I love that film.
then I watched Okja from Bong Joon-ho.
I've actually never seen it because I'm like super sensitive to animal stuff, so I don't know if I could handle watching it.
Okay,
Even though I
I
love
think
director Bong, he's amazing.
Okja is like perfect family movie. Like it does like okay, so like it's a girl and then like a big pig, right? So like, make the little kids happy. They get to see this girl play around with a big pig. And then I feel like that would have been way better if I had a New York or a Boston accent. Would have been amazing. Hello, Eamon Hudson. But uh so like you get that, but then like the movie's saying a lot about animal cruelty and like but then it's also like goofy. Like there's I don't think this is that much of a spoiler, but there's like the animal like protection league of like these like spy people led by Paul Dano. They're like animal protection spies. Um like it's like there's a bunch of goofy stuff in it, but it's also saying some serious things. And when I say it's a perfect family movie, like it's very like I would say it's fairly family friendly. Like it can get like a little dark at times, but I would say like it's pretty family friendly. And like it's like young people on the younger side of the age spectrum are gonna have fun with it because there's the big pig and the girl and they do fun stuff and they run around. But then like I feel like adults would also be entertained by it because it's like it's presenting some interesting themes and some interesting talking points. So like I think it does like what Pixar does with their best their animated movies in live action. It entertains everybody. So yeah, Bong Joon-ho can do no wrong. And I don't have any supplementary information like I did with A24. He just can't do anything wrong. Then I saw Venom Let There Be Carnage and
Not
was
a fan?
not a fan.
Oh, see, I really liked it.
I wrote a solid like 4 paragraphs on why I didn't like it on Letterboxd. So you can read that. Um,
I
I don't
mean,
know
most
why
people
it
didn't love the
exists.
first one, so and I really loved the first one, and I expected that there would be they did some course correcting on the second one, and I'm sorry it didn't work for you.
I I don't know why this movie exists. Like I like
Because Tom Hardy loves the character, and he
yeah.
wanted to help bring the character to the big screen. He's the, um he he's trying to do to Venom what Ryan Reynolds did for Deadpool.
And it isn't working. Um,
For
I,
you, it's not
for
working.
me,
It
for
works
me,
for
it's
me,
not
it works
working.
for me and Dan, we both loved it.
That's very fair. It's not working for me. I mean, biggest complaint is no Riz Ahmed, but I, but no, I don't know what this movie is doing. I found the Venom and Eddie back and forth just like annoying and not funny or entertaining at all. Like I felt like there was a lot of fun they could have had with that dynamic as far as like playing with like the power dynamics within that, and instead they're just like haha joke. So like it didn't personally work for me. Like I also thought that Woody Harrelson was just like bad in the movie. So a lot of it just didn't work. I
And I get
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Please,
It
why
wasn't gonna
does
work for everybody.
um okay, that's a good question. I'm just saying that this movie has less reasons than most movies. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of the first one, and I wanted this to like at least justify its existence as like a continuation, and like the course correcting didn't do any like it didn't the course correcting didn't course correct for me. Which is like frustrating because I did want to like this movie. I saw a lot of people having fun with it, and I wanted to have as much fun with it as other people did. And it just wasn't fun at all. At least to me. I felt very just bored and frustrated with the movie the entire time. But
By the way, I have to interject that we have gotten a Streamlabs for movie Finobi, saying, "Hello, good people. Mara, did you do the 5K today? I know you were recovering before. Either way, the charity is great. My father is a Vietnam veteran. A best friend was in the Army for 23 years. I have a lot of respect, sending love and paying it forward." And yes, yes, I did. I'm still wearing my sweaty clothes because I haven't taken a shower yet. So, yes, I did. I'm actually very glad the fundraising continues through the end of the month. So people, I can put it in the chat in a little while, but if anybody could spread the word, help generate awareness, even like $5 helps DAV. I know they've helped me out quite a bit. So I was very glad that I was able to do my 5K in an embarrassing time because I am still kind of getting my strength back and stuff after surgery. But I did it. I was so glad to be able to, and I'm hoping that I might be able to do more for them in the future for other fundraising opportunities. Because again, it's the least I can do. They are such a wonderful organization. So thank you so much for sending that in, though, Movie Finobi. I really appreciate it. And please tell your father that I want to thank him for his service. Vietnam was a conflict that our generation does not have to understand because no warfare we've seen was like that. And I have such a deep respect for what he had to go through. So please tell him I said thanks.
yeah, one serious thing, one joke. My grandfather's also a Vietnam vet, so thank you to all of the support to from you doing the 5K and from him and Hudson. Or movie Finobi.
Tell your grandpa the same thing, by the way. That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I, so you said hello, good people, and then you said Mara and pointed at yourself, and I thought you were like singling yourself out as the one good person. I was like, hello, good people, me, not him over there.
No, although it's funny because I was talking and Muffin just comes, looks around the corner, and just goes. And I was like, what did I do? What did I do, Buffett? And then she left.
Like Venom 2 is worth seeing just for the end credit. Yeah, that was kind of fun. It was pretty cool.
It's funny because when the movie was ending, like I think Dan and I were alone. I can't remember, but like I looked over to him and I was like, okay, the coolest thing ever would be blah 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 blah. Because I'm not going to say it just in case people haven't seen the movie yet. But like then the end credits thing happens, and I was like, it's the thing I just said.
Yeah. Nice, but anyways, I'm sorry I didn't like Venom as much as most people, because I know that like people are enjoying this, which I'm happy to see people enjoying it. I mean, I'm happy that Tom Hardy is able to be bringing the character to the big screen. I mean, it has on Letterboxd, it's got a 2.9, which is pretty good for a movie like Venom: Let There Be Carnage. That's about equivalent to like about a 6 out of 10, which is like almost leaning positive by Rotten Tomatoes standards. So people are
don't apologize for not liking it. It's not like you're being like mean or trying to steal anyone's joy. You just didn't like it. Don't ever apologize for your opinion. Oh, see, look, Nick said it better than I said it. Young man.
Young man. My Letterboxd review is literally way better than it has any right to be, and that is 2019's Escape Room.
Wow.
It's fine. Like, it isn't good by any means. I have it at 2.5 out of 5. But I was fully expecting to hate this movie. But like, it surprisingly is not a Netflix original. Even though by all means of title, characters, visuals, it feels like a Netflix original. But yeah, it was kind of fun. I mean, the last 15 minutes were just like, what? I mean, it's 2 years old. I not too many spoilers, but like, why did you have to explain everything? Like, you didn't really like. Was that really necessary? Did we really need to know literally everything? I mean, what, like a similar thing to I won't say the movie. Just I'm trying to be as spoiler-aware as possible. another horror movie that came out earlier this year in the summer, that also did a similar thing. If you've seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. I mean, it frustrates me when horror movies just like over explain themselves because it's like, okay, well, that
Yeah.
kind of takes away from the fun of it. But it was fun. Also, escape rooms are just fun.
Oh yeah, I'm a
Let's
big fan of those.
see. We got a streamline
Yes.
from Houstonizer or Hudsonizer.
Yes, I believe Hudsonizer.
But speaking of Houston, what is the best movie set in Texas?
One that comes to mind for me right away is Hell or High Water. I love that movie. I didn't feel like it was able to get enough wide exposure to be like really permeating the cultural zeitgeist at the time. So if you haven't seen it, it's really, really good. It has Ben Foster. It has um, the names of people just disintegrated from my face. The main guy. Oh my God. Oh, Chris Pine. But it's really, really good. And it's set in Texas. And I think is it Jeff Bridges? He plays a Texas Ranger, I believe, in that
I
movie.
believe so.
That's worth a Google.
Let's see. Does First Man count? Because like that's kind of, I mean, it's set in Texas and then it's set in space. But like,
I mean, space is definitely part of Texas.
well, yeah, they're obviously like the same thing, but like, like as far as like, regular Texas,
Regular Texas.
but yeah, I'm gonna even if that's cheating, I'll say First Man, I guess. I'm trying to think of what else. Like, what are movies set in Texas? Oh, I know one. Bottle Rocket, Wes Anderson's debut film.
Yes.
Bottle Rocket, yeah, Bottle Rocket's definitely up there. Also, Borat 2 takes place partially in Texas. But yeah, I'd say either Bottle Rocket or First Man for me. But yeah, good question. It's fun seeing. It's fun looking at like per state, where movies are set. And there's actually a website that like will sort movies based on state, and you can see like all the locations of them. But we're both. We're both. So were you originally from Illinois or Indiana?
I was born in Indiana, and I spent my time divided between Chicago and Northwest Indiana.
Got it. Okay. Because Illinois is kind of interesting because it's basically just Chicago, but you have like, I mean, Halloween and Home Alone, I think, are the big ones. But
Yeah.
Illinois.
Oh, well, Ferris Bueller too.
Ferris Bueller, yeah. But yeah, I mean, the Dark Knight was shot in Chicago.
Yeah, man, that was so cool.
No, that's not. You're abusing the boss baby button. Okay, we need to rein.
Do I have to take the button away? Do I have to delete it from the brand images page?
Mara, do I have to turn this car around?
I'm sorry. I feel bad because I've ruined the show forever just because of that one time.
I can't. Oh yeah, Wayne's World also good, but I can't even like know what we need to do. It like like the year anniversary of the show, we have to do a double feature watch along of the two Boss Baby movies.
Oh my gosh, and we have to make Dan do it too.
Yes.
Oh, he's gonna be so mad at us when he hears this because I'm not gonna tell him.
Have you guys watched the new one?
No.
Okay.
Should I?
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum's in it.
Oh, okay, I'll watch it.
I mean, yeah, that's all you really need to say, right? Like,
I love him so
random
much.
question.
He's the best.
Did did the season 2 ever happen of World According to Jeff Goldblum? Because I watched season. Is there a season 2?
It drops soon. I don't
Okay,
remember when.
cool. Because I loved season 1 because like Jeff Goldblum. Yeah,
November
I
12th.
okay, cool. It took a while for there to be a second season because that was like one of the launch shows.
I mean, I think because of pandemic.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they have to do a lot of traveling with it. So that's very true. Good point. But yeah, Jeff Goldblum's awesome. And if you think otherwise, then leave the shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Plus, also, he is a young child, so he may, you want to be around when your kids are wee.
Yeah. Okay. So then I watched Spencer. I loved Spencer. I think that it is one of the best films of the year. I think that Kristen Stewart is phenomenal. I sitting on the shelf. I think that how Spencer tackles the like Diana's mental health is really, really interesting. I thought it was really, really well done. They do some interesting stuff, drawing parallels to the royal family of history before her, and how that plays into her psyche. There's a really great conversation. Again, I'm trying to, without spoiling much, there's a really great conversation between her and another character about how she will be remembered, like hundreds of years from now, which is really, really great. There's two standout scenes. One is a scene with her and her two sons, and they play a game where they have to tell the truth to each other, and it's beautifully done. Like I could have just like sat with them and watched them play that game for hours. It's so well done. And then there's another standout scene which I won't say anything about because it's spoilery. But it's just beautifully edited. Johnny Greenwood gives like an amazing like jazz score to go with it, which is like so fun. It was very unexpected. I thought that Claire Mathon's cinematography was beautiful. There's only been one female cinematographer ever to get nominated at the Oscars. So let's get Claire Mathon nominated. We can double the amount of female cinematographers nominated, which is like insane that there's only been one in 93 Oscars. But like Claire Mathon is so deserving. That I aspire to be Jonah Hill. And I
I'm gonna assume you just meant the actor, not the character. You know that would make Clara your Beanie Feldstein, right?
Honestly, though.
Oh man! By the way, have you been watching Impeachment?
I've not. I don't even know what is this.
Okay, so it's part of the American Crime Story anthology series, and this season is about the impeachment of Bill Clinton regarding
Ooh.
the perjury with the Monica Lewinsky thing. And she's playing Monica Lewinsky, and she's so good.
Nice.
Yeah, you should really watch it because I think the finale is like this week on Tuesday. So you could binge all of it beforehand and then just watch the finale on Tuesday. And I mean, it's probably one of the first things, like, I remember a little bit about OJ, a little bit about Princess Diana, a little bit about the impeachment. Like those were the three biggest like stories that were in the news for weeks, months at a time that I remember as a young child, like just hearing and being around it, though being so young not to fully grasp the gravity of any of those three things. So
Yeah.
it's actually really interesting to go back and kind of look at it through the lens of adulthood, even though, of course, some of it's a little heightened, like private conversations, that happen between people. Are you're never going to know how accurate it is, but I think it's depicting the tone of what was happening at the time and the behavior and I mean, they're definitely showing how horrible Monica Lewinsky was treated. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting. And as Nick mentioned, yeah, Sarah Paulson plays Linda Tripp, and it is out of this world. She is like an enigma. Like I'm so confused by how she can become so many different people. It's mind-boggling, and I can't wrap my head around it completely because she just dissolves into Linda Tripp. It's so good.
Nice. Yeah, Beanie Feldstein is great though. I mean, Lady Bird is one of my like favorite movies of all time. Like it's one of my top 5 of all time. And she's so good supporting role there. I mean, Booksmart, of course. She's great in. She was also in a really great indie film last year called How to Build a Girl. Um, that went very much under the radar, but it's pretty fun. And then she's in The Humans this year, which I'm so excited for. A24, let's go. But yeah, Beanie Feldstein is great though. And yeah, Clara can be my Beanie Feldstein if I'm doing a hill. So but yeah, also John Mulaney, great joke about the Bill Clinton thing. Really good. It's the finale to either his first or second stand-up special. I think it's the second one. Anyways, it's really funny. He met Bill Clinton when he was a young child, and it's that story.
Interesting.
It's very funny. Love John Mulaney.
I mean, obviously, Bill Clinton very much a presence in the state of Arkansas. You know, so
Yeah.
heard lots of Clinton things here.
Yeah. But yeah, final thoughts on Spencer though. I loved it. I really loved it. It's tediously paced. It's constantly subverting expectations and just delves into like the mind of Diana as she's like kind of spiraling out of control.
I'm looking up when I'm going to be able to see it here because I'm assuming it'll come here eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, I probably very easily could have walked into it though because there was no monitoring whatsoever.
French Dispatch finally came out to theaters in my town this weekend. Finally, it would have had to wait, I think 2 weeks after release. So glad I saw it when I did. But yeah, rollouts have been weird from like smaller films.
Apparently, the answer is never.
Okay. Hey Mara, just book a plane ticket up to, and you can just meet me. I'll gladly rewatch it.
I'd get there almost in the same amount of time if I just drove, because between driving to the airport, TSA, waiting at the gate, flying, leaving, Uber, I could just drive.
That's fair. But yeah, I wanted to rewatch the film immediately though. I do think that it is one of the best of the year. Like, hey, let's see Johnny Greenwood get triple nominated. Now that Alexander Desplat has dropped Nightmare Alley, like the door has opened.
Come here.
The door has opened. I mean,
Hi.
Spencer's a hit, Licorice Pizza, and Power of the Dog.
Good boy.
Let's make it happen. And is that? Let's see if I can get it right. Is that Sir Pounce?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm learning which is which.
Yeah, he just had supper, so he's gonna. It doesn't look like he is gone to the litter box because usually he eats. He lets things move through him, and then he comes and sits on my lap, and then he grooms himself. So
I like that. Lets things move through him. I like that terminology.
Thank you.
So Mara, there was a little thing that came out this week. I don't think that anybody here watched it except for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not making the rounds in the internet. Like no one's talking about it.
Like definitely wasn't like, a big news story or anything.
Not divisive in any way whatsoever.
No, it's just, people didn't see it, and those who did were like, yeah, it's fine. But like those are like 10 people, 8 not counting us. It's called Eternals. And I liked it. I did really like it. And we're going to let we'll just move on from whatever I was gonna try and say. I really enjoyed Eternals. I know, Mara, we have a lot to delve into.
Yes, and we're going to keep this 100% spoiler free, everybody, because again, the movie is very freshly out there, and yeah, that's I don't want to ruin a single iota of someone's enjoyment of it, or at least them experiencing it, whether they end up liking the movie or not. So spoiler free, everybody, so you can stay.
You know where the first time I heard iota was?
No, I don't.
That'd be Knives Out.
Ah, see, that movie's everything.
It is everything. It teaches you about iotas. Yeah, okay, so I really liked Eternals. Full disclaimer, Chloe Zhao is one of my favorite directors of all time. It is Wes Anderson, Greta Gerwig, and Chloe Zhao are like my three. Also, you cannot call me a bandwagon Chloe Zhao fan. I was on the Chloe Zhao hype train pre Nomadland, off of Songs My Brother Taught Me and The Writer, which are both phenomenal, and you should all watch them. But yeah, I think that Eternals is everything that I expected a Chloe Zhao fantasy film to be. I mean, it's definitely slower. It takes times with things, but like, I mean, it was way faster than like some of her previous work, like The Writer or Songs My Brother Taught Me. Even like Nomadland is pretty slow, but like, I mean, The Writer is just like insanely slow. But she takes times to work with characters and find the humanity within characters. And that's something that she does in all of her films, including Eternals, even though Eternals had issues outside of it, which we'll get into. But Mara, immediate thoughts.
I thought that it was very visually stunning. I mean, as far as like its use of exterior scenes and framing and lighting and stuff. Although I did feel a little disappointed in the sense that, like, I think there was a lot of discussion about how practical the movie was going to be, yet it was still a very CG heavy film, which there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I felt like the narrative around it was telling me how much of like the action and not just that they didn't have, because like there's plenty of green screen stuff in it too. It's not all just like beautiful exteriors. There's a lot of it there, but I felt like that just enhanced the movie. It wasn't the identity of the movie. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I wish that there hadn't been so much of a discussion beforehand about like, this is going to be one of the most practical MCU movies you've ever seen, because I don't think it really was. I think it's one of the most beautiful MCU movies I've ever seen. Absolutely. I really liked the music. I really wish that I told you this off screen before, but and I mentioned this also on Schmobates, I believe. So in case anyone's heard it, I'm really sorry. I'm going to say it again. I think that for me personally, they would have been able to solve some of the issues I had with pacing, tonality, and character development if they had the first Eternals film establish their mythology instead of just having paragraphs of text on screen, and have it be the first 5,000 years they were on Earth. So we would see more of them interacting in these major human conflicts, and when deviants were involved, when they weren't, them watching and not understanding or disapproving of the development of humans as far as human on human violence. And then they could have also even dealt with how they fall in love with humans that do everything right and then they still die because, you know, they are immortal and we are not. And we could have really gotten to know who those Eternals were, because there are so many characters, and I don't think that they were all really afforded enough time to shine, especially when you get as talented of performers as they had for every single one of the Eternals. And then the second Eternals film, well, I'm sorry, the first one could have ended with them breaking up, because it's not a spoiler. The whole movie is about them collecting people. So, you know, they don't stay together all throughout history. So it's not a spoiler. But then the second film could have been about the emergence. And it would have been like what this film was about, which is the emergence. They say it in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling that. But I think that would have made it more compelling, because I would have felt attached to all of them and felt like I knew them and didn't just know an archetypal version of them.
So I agree with all that, but sorry, my mind was just blown. didn't pick it up while I was watching it. So Barry Keoghan, right? He's in this movie. He
Keoghan.
played Keoghan. Thank you. He plays Druig.
Yes, I love him.
I knew that he was in something that I remembered. He's in The Green Knight. That's where I remember him
He's
from.
the guy that like tries to swindle them.
Yeah. I didn't. The entire time I was like, he's the guy from The Thing, and I don't know what The Thing is. And I finally just realized
He's also
that.
in The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which you have to watch. It's weird, but you have to watch it.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
I love Yorgos Lanthimos. He's one of my favorites. I mean, I love The Lobster. That's one of my favorite movies ever. So
big fan of that movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, like that's exactly why, like one of the reasons why I hate how angry and toxic that the Eternals conversation has gotten, because The Lobster, that is such a particular film. You have to really be on the same wavelength to like that movie. And I totally understand why there are lots of people that were like, I just don't get it. I just don't like it. Like, and it's not an intellectual thing. Like, I didn't get it. It's just like, it didn't reach me. I didn't get it. And so like any movie can be like that. It can be a comic book movie, because I agree with you. I love the concepts and the themes. It's so amazing. I like the prism of, I'm going to have literally non-human characters because they're Eternals. I'm going to have them analyze our humanity. Like we're going to look at humanity through their eyes. And I love that. I love that so much. I wish that like, it's kind of like a gingerbread house where like all of these pieces were really just like the best you could possibly get. I just felt like the royal icing that glues it all together just wasn't as strong as it should have been. And so I'm not angry at the movie because I didn't like fully and completely love everything about it as I had really hoped that I would. I'm just disappointed because I feel like it was close to doing the things I needed it to do for me to love it, but I don't begrudge people that do love it at all. I'm not a joy thief.
Yeah. Have you seen Chloe Zhao's work prior to Nomadland?
I have not.
Okay.
Although you know me, I have very complicated thoughts about Nomadland.
Yes. So I would say 60% of this movie felt like a Chloe Zhao movie, which I loved. I loved all of the stuff that felt like a Chloe Zhao film. I mean, like you said, analyzing humanity, which is something she does in every single one of her movies. She just looks at a different subject, like Songs My Brother Taught Me, looked at like modern Native Americans and like the gambling problems that exist within that culture and community now, and taking a look at humanity through that. The writer took a look at it through like the Southwest and like the cowboy culture, and how toxic masculinity can portray onto that, and how people who aren't fully ready to do things are pushed into them, and how that might not be good for both their physical and mental health, and takes a look at that humanity. Nomadland looked at it through nomads, and how they perceive the world and their worldview, and again looking at humanity. In this film, it's very different. I mean, it's like probably has like 5 times the budget of all of her previous films combined. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. People saying that Chloe Zhao shouldn't have been given this budget, I very strongly disagree with.
I think honestly, like the biggest weakness of the film is that it was an MCU film in the sense that like she could have created her own universe and characters if it was going to be like fantasy and not grounded in reality. Like a studio should have just said, I'm going to give you all of the money and go make a movie. Because to me, some of the parts where it was strained a little was when it was like, hey, remember superheroes in the MCU? Like, it just felt so out of place. And I get that she had to do that. I don't begrudge the fact that that was just a stipulation of it being an MCU film. I just felt like that didn't feel authentic to her at all.
Absolutely. Like she had a vision for this film. Like it was taking a look at humanity through the eyes of non-humans and how they would perceive the world, and how you can still find the good and bad in humanity. And that's just okay. Like it's okay that humanity's done good things and it's also done terrible things. And like that doesn't mean that those aren't like good things or terrible things, but it's all okay because that's human. Cats too, they can do some nice things. They can also do some not so nice things. But cats are nice. But like I really liked everything she was tackling with that. And then it was just like, here's like a joke for no reason to bring levity to this serious discussion of like humanity and a debate on ethics and morals. Which I loved that. I mean, Chloe Zhao's films, like I'm sure you've seen the criticism for people who haven't seen it, that it, it like there isn't a strong antagonist. But I think that's fine. I was telling Mara, I was talking to you again before we went live. Like that's a consistent Chloe Zhao thing, is having a really antagonist, a film without an antagonist. And the antagonist most of the time is the character themselves, and they're grappling with themselves. And they're the only thing that's holding them back. I mean, I'd say that Nomadland is their most widely watched film prior to this. And like there isn't really an antagonist in the film. It's just about Fern struggling to find her identity after losing everything. And with this, you see the Eternals as a group struggling amongst themselves. So it isn't one specific character, but it's the group. There's 9 of them, right? 9.
Well, and I mentioned to you before the show that I love Captain America Civil War quite a bit. And that movie, yes, sure, Zemo is an antagonist and Crossbones is an antagonist, but like Crossbones is a disposable opening sequence villain, sadly. And then like you end up with, they are pitted against themselves. Like they fight themselves more in the movie than they fight anyone or anything else. So like I don't mind the idea of there not being a defined head-to-head antagonist either. I think that I can understand why some people wouldn't like that, but to me that is not new for the MCU at all.
Yeah, it's treated different. Like Eternals is a very different movie from the MCU, which is fine. Like what is film for if not pushing people to explore new things? Like
Well, I
if we
mean, look
just
at
watch the
Thor
same thing over.
Ragnarok. That is such
Yeah,
a singular, distinct feeling MCU film,
absolutely.
and it just happened to be that a lot of people like it. I've met people that really don't like it too, like, and
Yeah.
it's totally fine.
That one was just overwhelmingly positive, I would say, overall. Whereas this one has been, I would say, sadly overwhelmingly negative. I don't like it. It does have issues, like the 40% that didn't feel like a Chloe Zhao movie and just felt like a Marvel movie kind of crammed into Chloe Zhao's vision was just kind of frustrating for me to watch. And like I didn't feel bored at all while watching this, but like the points where I did feel bored was where it was just like the Marvel stuff crammed in, because it was like I don't care about this. I want to get back to Chloe Zhao's stuff. But I wasn't bored by it at all. I found it very entertaining. The editing back and forth between like past and present took a lot of the flow out of it, and that's the one thing that I would criticize Chloe Zhao on. Because like I feel like I've only said good things about her, but like I would say that this is probably her weakest work out of her 4 films.
I
Um,
did have one major actual grievance with the movie. There is a scene, and I'm not exaggerating, it's like under 2 minutes long. Like, I think it's under like 90 seconds. They go to a part of human history that it was very, that was a very sad event.
mhm,
And they go there and they show visually where you are and they put on screen where you are. And there's a character who feels like they've had something that they contributed to why this happened. And so they express like how they feel about it, you know. And it's cut in very abruptly, cut out of very abruptly, and it is so brief that I feel like it was very tasteless to use that imagery for such a short period of time, because if you
yeah,
were going to live in that scene for a while and let that environment speak in addition to the character,
yeah.
I would feel like yes, you can use that imagery and you can use that event to help shape the scene. I think it does contribute, but I felt like it was more like shock and awe, sort of like triggering that you know what this thing is, and then just watching someone cry for like 30 seconds and then cutting right back to present day just to inform their motivation. It's basically like terrible exposition, sort of. And I
Yeah.
feel like you could have either a like again extended the scene or just not had that scene and had the character talk to the other characters about that event and their feelings about how they might have shaped it, and then explain their own motivation. Like, and I'm a big fan of show don't tell, but like it just really, it played very sour in my mouth, because I feel like if this had been, for example, like an international film, and they had a story where they were bouncing back and forth in time, and they had a character standing in the aftermath of the Twin Towers right after it happened, and then it was 90 seconds long, and that was all it was for, was to just show that this person is at ground zero, I think that Americans would have lost their shit.
Yeah.
um, and I think that, yes, I'll do it to myself. um, I think that we're not necessarily showing a lot of empathy for how that might be triggering for a lot of other people, since, you know, major event. So
Yeah.
that was the only thing about the
I think
movie
that
where I was just like, I don't like it.
that's a very fair criticism. More from
I
like,
didn't I didn't spoil the event. It has nothing to do with 9/11. I'm saying if it had been that, then
yeah,
I think people would have been angry. It's not that. And I didn't
yeah.
say what the thing is at all.
No, no. I think that it's very fair. Another like grievances that I have is like some of the dialogue was pretty weak, especially in the first act. There were also multiple times, which just this frustrates me. This is like one of my pet peeves with film, is where we see something happen on screen and then the character says, "Hey, this thing is happening." This happened, I think, 3 or 4 times in the movie. I was like, "Yeah, I know, because I just watched it happen." So that like just from a filmmaking side bothered me. But yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that. It just felt weirdly placed, I guess, to me.
One
Um,
thing though that we have to talk about though is just how amazing, like, they had people in there of all shapes, sizes, colors, origins, and abilities, as actors and performers, and it didn't feel like it was in any way trying
yeah,
to do something or say something. They were just who they were. Like, they didn't draw attention to their deaf character, and by proxy the deaf actress. She was just existing there
mhm,
as someone who is deaf. Similarly, I love that, I just recently read a thing where, like, Brian Tyree Henry was talking about how when he was approached for the film, that his first question was, "How much weight are you going to want me to lose?" And Chloe Zhao said, "I want you exactly the way that you are."
yeah,
And I absolutely love that. Like, I think that this is, Dan actually mentioned it in his review, probably more eloquently than I will, but this is, quite probably the very most, the movie that's done the most for representation in, many different areas, you know, like color, national origin, ability, orientation, etc. And it didn't draw attention to it to get given like the
yeah,
attaboy. It just lived in those people and made them feel real in that way. Even if I didn't feel like every character was developed fully, I felt like they were all put on screen in a way that was just meant to show that they were all part of a whole, that they were all intrinsically valuable and unique and meaningful, and that they affected great change and impact on one another because of who they were. I love that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Chloe Zhao, like, I love her films. She also just seems like a great person.
Yeah.
Like, she seems like the best. Like, let's get Chloe Zhao on the basement. Uh,
I'll have my people call her people.
that's we can you know her, right? Like, it's we could make this.
We swim in the same swimming pool from time to time, so yeah, you never know.
But yeah, overall, I did really like this movie. I think that a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes is very unwarranted.
I
Having
think
this
it's a
be
little
like
tough.
this is by no means the worst MCU film. Like,
No, Captain Marvel is still by far my least favorite MCU film. I would much rather watch this movie again.
I would argue Incredible Hulk. But like, I don't think that this is like a great movie. I think that it does have a lot of problems because it doesn't feel like an MCU movie entirely. And I think that's okay.
It
Like,
is okay.
it doesn't have to be an MCU movie. Like, even though it's in the MCU, it doesn't have to fully feel like an MCU movie. It can just be a movie. And it being a Chloe Zhao movie is something that I'm not going to complain about. So is it a top tier MCU movie? No, but is it a bad movie or a bad MCU movie? No. Like, I'd have to see where it places on my rankings, but I'd say it's probably solidly in like the 10 to 15 range.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of think that there should be some continuity amongst MCU films if they want to say it's in universe. Because, I mean, one thing that Disney Marvel can do is they can do one off movies that may later connect to the MCU or like are very peripherally attached to the MCU. So I don't think they have to, I don't like it when they feel samey at all. I love that this did feel distinct and different. I just think that they didn't meld, like, it needs to be like a Venn diagram. Like, a director or filmmaker's distinct impact on how they shape a film, like if Edgar Wright had done Ant-Man or like Taika Waititi doing Thor Ragnarok. But
Mhm.
with Chloe Zhao doing this movie, there needs to be like some overlap though, where it feels seamlessly part of the MCU instead of disjointedly feeling like part of the MCU. And you don't have to have that overlap be heavy. It doesn't have to be like, you know, 20% her and, you know, 80%, the remaining 80% of that movie feeling like MCU. It can be the other way around. It just, I feel like it didn't mesh together very well. And that's, I think, what didn't work for me, which is so sad because I think that it's very possible to weave this stuff into the MCU if they want to go in this direction, which I guess in a way is a personal preference. I wish they weren't. I really think that it might have been for just for me. I would have liked to have seen the MCU just like, hey, we're going to make a few Spider-Man movies. You know, we can set up a thing or two, but we're not going to rush. We're going to get our X-Men back in order. We're going to cast our Fantastic Four. We're going to start building again, you know, small and growing to something else. I feel like there's almost like this expectation from like not from fans, but just like from the executives and whatnot, that it's like, oh, we just did something so huge with Infinity War and Endgame. Well, what's the next huge thing we're doing right now? And it's like, it doesn't have to be huge. Like, start
Yeah,
small again. Like, give me some small stakes stories and like give me
absolutely.
some like learning how to build up this new thing you're going to do because you did it right the first time, and I'm worried that they're getting off to the wrong foot in a lot of ways with how they've been doing this phase.
Yeah. But overall, like I'm very excited to see where these characters go in the future though. I really, really am. And I think that I liked this movie probably more than most people. Like I'd say that I'm probably like on the higher end, one of like the bigger supporters and defenders of this movie. I mean, I also just I love Chloe Zhao and her body of work and her just filmmaking style. But overall, I really do think that this is a good. I would call it a good movie. I don't think it's. I wouldn't say that it's like a decent movie or a bad movie by any means. I would feel very comfortable saying this is a Eternals is a good movie.
I'm
Um,
what I'd call mixed, but mixed positive.
yeah,
Um, because I did take some issue with since the characters weren't developed fully, I felt like some of the performances were lacking. I think Dan again said it better. There was a lot of single tears rolling down cheeks, staring into the middle distance with many seconds between uh, meaningful singular dialogue, and that's totally okay, but I don't need a whole movie of that. Like, I
yeah,
do need a little bit more than that. But that's just it's personal preference too. Like, if somebody just like unabashedly loves this movie and can explain in some way why they love it, by all means, like, love it. I'd honestly rather people love things than not like things or be
absolutely.
mixed positive or mixed negative on them. So, um I'm interested to see years from now what the perception is of this movie, because that's the other thing too. Like, movies are like sometimes they're like old noodles, and sometimes they get kind of funky as they get older, and sometimes movies are like wine and they just get really good as they get older. So I'm curious to see how this ages, because it's going to look different years from now no matter what, whether it's better or worse.
Yeah, I do hope that people come around on it and at least like bring it up so it isn't the worst MCU movie on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, can we at least fix that, please? um,
Yeah,
but yeah. Do you know what Chloe Zhao is doing next though?
I do not.
She's doing a Dracula movie.
Oh my god, yes. I need that
Uh,
in my life now. Stat.
last thing before we move on. Thoughts on the post credit scenes? Again, very unspoilery.
I would
Um,
say that first and foremost, I did read, like I saw the deadline headline about the performer, the actor
I did
who
as well.
was featured, and I'm
Mhm,
glad I did personally because I know what this person's name is. I know the individual's name. Did
yeah,
not know what they looked like. I could not have correlated their face to their name. So I'm actually glad that I knew who it was. So that way, if there had been like a big gasp in my theater when the performer portraying a character that I do know
mhm,
comes on screen, I could be like, I don't understand why you care. But like now I understood why people cared.
uh-huh,
Again, I'm not sure if I'm like, I'm invested in some of what they're setting up, some of what they referenced is interesting to me. Some of where they're going that's new, that's not something that was referenced that existed. I'm interested, but I don't know if going that big is going to work for me. But I'm curious, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, like I enjoy that character in the comics. I assume you are referring to the first of the two post credit
Yes.
scenes. Yeah, the character is fun in the comics, especially when they are with the Avengers. I don't think that's too spoilery to say. But there's some fun stuff with the Avengers where it's them and Cersei who led the Avengers, I believe, in the comics at one point in like late 80s, early 90s. Cersei was like a major part of the Avengers. Um, so that's like I'm excited to see where they're going. And then second post credit scene. Once again, I'm also glad I saw an article on something because I would have had no clue what the thing was.
Um, I I've got to tell you offline, I almost actually shouted something in my theater during the second one. So, um, but I'm interested. I mean, the thing is if you know anything about the source material, the name of that character, period, was going to clue you in to what that post credit scene was going to be, um, and that's fine. And I'm interested, just like you. I'm interested.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm not quite sure how the second two, how the things in the second one correlate entirely.
We can talk about that offline.
Okay, okay.
By the way,
I
we did get in a Streamlabs. Uh,
it was from Blake Q, correct? Is that the same one?
yes.
Okay. Uh, sorry, did I cut out or something?
No. No, I
Okay.
thought I was gonna let you read it. You're my
Oh, okay.
Vanna White.
I watched the Dune review where Mara, that's crap, the wrong one, that one, said people should read the Dune books, and I have to say I'm glad I listened to you. I'm about to finish the second book, and they are amazing. Guess what I bought yesterday? Dune. Gonna read it.
Yes. So excited. I'm gonna be my own human virus and I'm gonna infect the world with the love of Dune.
Hey, I'd rather take that virus than the one we had, you know, right now. Um,
True, although there's not currently an inoculation for the Mara's virus. There is no vaccine. So you're all at my mercy, every one of you.
we gotta start
You
working
will
on
love Dune.
the Mara Dune vaccine.
You know what that is? That's watching an Adam Sandler Netflix movie. That's the vaccine. So you guys have to choose. Do you want to take your medicine or do you want to just love Dune? I'm
Um,
joking.
honestly, that's how we get people to get vaccinated.
Oh dear. I don't even want to I don't want to even go there.
Um, so okay, can I just pick the Mayorwitz stories?
Yes,
Because that's actually a good movie.
I will allow it.
I think I've cheated the system.
Dang it, Trevor. Cheating isn't good. Don't didn't your parents teach you that?
Uh, ooh, Nick pointed out Finch on Apple Plus. I'm probably going to be watching it this weekend.
Also on the list, yes.
Um, Yeah. Anything else you wanted to touch on though with Eternals?
I did see that there was a question in the chat. Um, I think that honestly, there's not really a big chance of us never seeing the Eternals again. Now, I don't know if they would get a standalone film again. I can't speak to that, but there's no chance that we won't see the Eternals again. They have done far too much setup and integration just in this film and its post-credit scene to not have us see them again. And
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I get that movie making is a business, but I think that okay, for example, Thor the Dark World, Thor Ragnarok. You can course correct, and it doesn't have to be major difference because, of course, that was a major tonal shift, like and color palette shift. Like everything was different. The
Yeah.
character himself literally changed like emotional attributes between movies without really kind of going into how that worked and becoming a stand-up comedian. Granted, I love Thor Ragnarok, but still though, you have to acknowledge the fact that it just like kind of turned 180 degrees without like even putting on a turn signal. And that's fine. But I think that there is a possibility of improving upon the weaknesses that that the people that did not completely love it that universally align like okay there are 3 or 4 critiques that we can at least take to heart and improve upon that way we get a more positive response we can keep the people that loved it loving it we can preserve that and we can bring in more people to like it it's doable
Yeah.
whether they'll do it or not I don't know but I mean it's achievable they've already proven they can do it.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all that. I think it would be weird and kind of dumb not to see the Eternals again. Um, I just like that would just seem very weird. I don't think that would happen at all. And there are definitely things to fix with it, but I don't think that there's that much you need to fix. Like I think it's a lot of minor things, quite honestly. But I also
It's
like
very fixable things.
so yeah. Lastly, so I know you've talked about this game before that you and Daniel play during the credits where you try and find somebody in the credits whose name has food in it.
Yes.
So I found someone. Did you guys find anything?
We found salmon, beers, and berry, and I think those were I think we found those 3 at least. Did you find something else?
I found Barry as well. I also found Beers, Sarah Truly Beers, Vice President of
Yes.
Marketing.
What a
Um,
name.
I also found somebody named Waters. So I don't
Oh,
know
that
if that's
technically does count. I keep forgetting water is a food. It's ingestible and it's edible and it's safe
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
not a brand.
Good good adding of the safe there. Um,
Yes.
okay. So we're just gonna completely tangent off. So what are things so I was just noticing, so like chapstick, right? So
Mhm.
chapstick is a brand,
Yep, just like Kleenex.
but we refer to it as the thing. So I was trying to think of as many other things that are a brand that we just refer to as like the entire item now. So Kleenex is another one.
Xerox.
Yeah, yeah, Xerox. Chat, help us
Um,
out.
I think technically Scotch tape because isn't Scotch it was its own brand and now it's part of 3M, but like it's still I think Scotch is branding. I think it's just called tape, isn't it?
Yeah, Band-Aid. That's a good one from JJ Winward in chat.
Oh, yes, that's a great one. I mean,
Because
I know
yeah,
in the South, though, a lot of people say Coke. They're like, "Oh, I want a Coke," and then someone asks you what kind, because to them, Coke means soda, even though
yeah,
Coke is a
I've
brand.
heard that. I've heard that. Anyways, I don't know how we got there,
I
but that
like weird
was
stuff like that. It's just kind of silly and weird to think about, but it's like,
yeah,
why do we do that?
yeah. Another weird thing that I've been thinking about is how everybody like our eyes all see color differently. So like my red is different than your red, is different than JJ's red, is different than Blake's red, is different than Nick's red. Like we all see like every single color differently, and we'll never truly be able to know like the actual color of something.
And you can see blue and green in ways that I don't understand.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, weird stuff. Again, hey, if you're coming to the basement, you know you're gonna get weird stuff. So anything else you want to touch on? Do you want to talk about some trailers?
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, I feel like this might be a shorter episode this week, but you know what? That's fine. We had a longer one last week, and I'm sure that we're going to keep getting more and more stuff to talk about week after week with as many big movies that are coming out. So, yeah, why don't we talk about a few trailers, and then it might be time to say our goodbyes. But what trailers have you watched?
Well, first I want to bring up what Nick's comment. Um, Nick, I have no clue what you're talking about. Absolutely no idea. Um,
That's the right answer, Trevor.
so Moonfall got a trailer. The Roland Emmerich.
It's either going to be amazing or terrible, and I'm here for it either way. I'm so there for it.
So Gerard Butler isn't in this, right? Because it feels like he should be.
He really should be. If he's not a surprise cameo in that movie at some point, I'm going to consider it an epic failure.
Oh, absolutely. Like Gerard Butler in it, Best Picture winner. Gerard Butler not in it, guaranteed Razzie winner. Like those are the movie's two options.
Yep. By the way, I was thinking that I know that we have our worst picture as a category in the Basement Awards, but I was thinking that we should create the like the platinum lingonberry, and it could be like the super special award that we give to like really, really bad stuff.
Yeah. I like
Trademarking that. The platinum lingonberry.
Yeah. Nobody else can
fancy.
use that. Not that anybody else would want to use that.
Oh, thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Everyone's been so great today, by the way. I am doing. I'm really, really happy I can do any good for the disabled American veterans, but I'm close to my goal, hoping I can end up going up to a stretch goal. And it's all because of people just being so supportive and also just telling me that I did a good job because I ran a thing. So thank you, everybody.
You did run a thing. Yeah. There was also a new trailer for House of Gucci. I don't know if you guys saw it in your.
I don't know if I want to, is the thing. I kind of want to go in with as little exposure as possible because I feel like I just want to get like slapped in the face with it in the theater.
I think that this movie's either going to be phenomenal or it's just going to flop so hard. Like,
yep.
It's this movie could very easily be a disaster. Like there are two like this at the end of the year. It's Don't Look Up and House of Gucci. I think both of those, they could either be incredible or they could just be like an absolute disaster. So
I'm really excited to find out which.
Yeah, I'm very excited for both. Trying to think of what else.
Oh my gosh, I swear if I see the King's Man trailer one more time in a movie theater, I'm going to consider self-harm. I'm getting really tired of seeing it.
For me, it's Clifford the Big Red Dog. That's been like every single theater I've gone to over the past month has shown that.
I saw my first trailer for Clifford the Big Red Dog at Eternals, but I don't think I can watch it because, again, it has a big dog and people are talking about being mean to it, and I don't like that. So I'm going to have to like plug my ears and just like act like it doesn't exist if I see it again.
Yeah. Maddie, I want to see House of Gucci, but my intense disdain for Jared Leto might keep me from enjoying it as much as I might. Okay, my most recent Oscars predictions. Go check them out on my channel. But I think sadly Jared Leto's gonna win. I quite honestly think Jared Leto wins a second Oscar for this.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to prejudge since I haven't seen the performance,
Yep.
but I hope that if it does, that it deserves to. That's all I'm going to say.
You've got a real firecracker here.
Yeah, did you see the Stranger Things 4 is got a release?
I've never seen a single frame of Stranger Things.
Well, we can fix that.
Like not even a trailer. I've never seen any single thing, like probably just like promo images, and that's it.
Well, there's time. You have plenty of time.
Yeah, I know. I need to see it. There's a lot of TV I want to see. I want to see that. I watched The Queen's Gambit, which I really liked. I still need to watch The Crown. I'm through season 1 of Ted Lasso, starting season 2 soon. But yeah, I'm trying to watch more TV because I've just been watching movies. So I'm trying
Yes,
to
like cinematic classics like The Nine Lives of Christmas.
no, what? Forget about The Boss Baby. We're doing a watch along with Dan of that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh yeah, Turning Red. I'm actually excited for that. I'm so also speaking of Pixar, we have to talk about Lightyear as well. That
Mm.
trailer. I'm excited for Turning Red. I think that it looks pretty fun. I like when movies tackle mental health, especially children's movies, because that needs to be a thing, and that needs to be a much more recognized thing in just general conversation. Like people need to become more comfortable talking about it, especially kids, so that way they grow up with the mindset that's like it's okay to discuss mental health. Like that's why like surprisingly like Paw Patrol the movie way more than I thought I would, because like it actually discusses that in a serious manner that's approachable for like 5-year-olds, which is very very important. It needs to be just a general thing. Like we we go to the doctor for like physical health checkups. Why don't we do mental health checkups? Like it needs to be a more recognized thing. People need to stop feeling ashamed of talking about mental health, because it's something that like everybody goes through, and everybody should. I mean, the only way we can make it more widely accepted to talk about it is just talking about it. So I'm very much looking forward to the movie just for that, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I agree completely. Plus, also, like, I I would love to think that everyone has empathy for other people, but they don't. But
Mhm.
even for the selfish people, they should care about people like having mental health care be destigmatized, because a lot of the times when people hurt other people, whether it's people that they know and they care about who are their caregivers, or just strangers, a lot of violence is fueled by mental health crises. So even if you're a selfish jerk, you should care about destigmatizing access to mental health care and regular checkups on mental health care, because you could get injured by someone who's having a mental crisis. So even if you're a jerk, you should care. But you should also just have empathy for other people and just think about the fact that if people struggle, they should get help, and they shouldn't be made to feel lesser than because of that. Thank you for coming to my
Absolutely.
TED Talk.
Yeah. I mean, it's been said forever, but like if somebody gets like a broken leg, we don't tell them to just like toughen up, and like it we treat them like they're very different things, but it's health.
Well, Trevor, if you grew up in my house and you got a broken leg, I would tell you to toughen up.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
No, I would not do that. That'd be
Um,
horrible.
Come on, Trevor. Nick, we're at ground 0% with that one. We're on square zero, not even the square one. Yeah. TV's hard. It's just there's a lot of it. There's so much more
We'll
of
put
it
a
than
pin in
movies,
that one.
and like there's more TV shows than there are movies, and within each TV show, there's more of that TV show than there is of a movie. So it's really hard for me to stay caught up with TV. But I'm trying my best. Uh, but yeah. Okay. So what do you think of the Lightyear trailer? Because I was just like, cool. They made an animated remake of The Martian.
Okay, now that's exactly how I want to describe it. I'm going to credit you, but that's exactly how I'm going to describe it now. It's pretty awesome and a very good joke.
Other than
I
that,
mean, I'm curious.
yeah, I want to see Chris Evans say more words than and. Um,
I mean, he could just do no wrong. Let him just say that over and over again till the end of time while wearing a sweater.
Speaking of, I'm halfway through watching Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer for the first
Oh my
time.
gosh, such a good movie.
It's like so far, like yeah, loving it. But yeah, I mean, we didn't get that much of it, but like it looks fun. I like that. I'm glad that they made the specification and confirmed that like it's about the real life person that the toy is based on, um, and not like the toy, which like is a good specification to have. But like that just makes me like think like, where's my Duke Kaboom movie? Like I want that way more. Let's get a movie about the real life person Duke Kaboom
I need that right now.
with Keanu coming back. Like, come on. Um, yeah. So this is also, I like to talk about Oscars. So I think that it's like as of now for animated feature next year, it's Lightyear versus Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. What do you think has the upper leg? Just going off of what we know.
I mean, I don't know about upper leg per se, but I can tell you that if the animation is as good as Into the Spider-Verse, I don't I, I've never seen anything as beautiful as that. Like
Yeah.
from I mean, okay, I have to take some exceptions. Like, for example, there are some Miyazaki films that are actually like so breathtakingly beautiful. Like, I just mean that I hadn't seen an advancement in animation until I saw that movie. And as somebody who is color deficient, like seeing that movie, I feel like I actually saw like more colors than my body understands how to see. And it was like a comics splash page, like thrown into my face. It was awesome. So I
Yeah.
would be rooting for it, but I have to see them both before I can really know for sure. Because even if I love it, if on its merits, it doesn't deserve to win, then I'll put something else on my ballot. But I would root for that.
Yeah. So the other thing that I would lean like I know I like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite animated movie of all time. It's my favorite comic book movie of all time. Like it's one of my favorite movies ever. So something really interesting. So Lord Miller is still producing, but Kemp Powers is going to be directing and writing, most known for getting in adapted, or I can't remember if it's adapted original, but getting a screenplay nomination for One Night in Miami, which he wrote. Plus, he did Soul as well. So coming off of a big year for him, both of those movies are great. So overall, very excited. But I think that's all we have for the show. Mara, you look very tired, and you also ran
It's
a
not that I'm
5K.
like tired. A part of it is also allergies because I was outside in the environment.
Yeah.
And
So
normally
there's
I live inside always, all the time.
you live in the basement. Um,
Which is funny because I'm in my upstairs right now. My
I'm in.
basement has an upstairs.
I'm staying true. I'm in the basement. I'm always in the basement.
I mean, I could dig a basement if you want. Technically, this house does not actually have a proper basement.
You know what? Yes, Mara. You should take the money we get from Streamlabs to dig yourself a basement.
Either that, or I should do a show from the safe room because we have a safe room,
Okay.
and I should totally do a show from inside the safe room. It is very cozy.
Nice, nice. Nick asks if you're allergic to the outdoors because I am.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of the pollens. I'm allergic to grass. If I sit down outside, I get hives on my legs. Um, I also have a large sensitivity to molds, like even like the beginnings of molds. So yeah, the outsides and I we're not friends. Even though I like doing stuff outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I took allergy shots for like 6 years, so like doing pretty good now. But yeah, still the outside is, especially on high allergy days, it can be rough. But always after it rains, because after it rains, all the pollen gets like stirred up into the air, and it's like, whoa. Even if I'm inside all day, it's like it's penetrating. Um, an avid indoorsman. Um,
Good one.
all right, I think that's all we have for the show, though. I think we had a pretty good discussion on Eternals.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd hope that we could. I mean, let's be honest, our show is awesome, but we shouldn't be the example. But I hope that we can at least help show people that you can absolutely disagree and still have a great conversation. You can learn more even about your own feelings about a movie by talking with other people. Because, like Spider-Verse, I learned more about why I love that movie by talking to Marisol McKee about why she does not like the movie. Like you can
Yeah.
get so much out of those conversations where you aren't perfectly aligned, even though it is fun to just like talk about how much you love a movie like Dune together,
Mhm.
or talk
Yeah.
about how much you don't like a movie like Halloween Kills together. But like,
Mhm.
hopefully, this show can represent that, it can happen in a way that doesn't have to make someone else feel like garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's like film is art and art is subjective. That doesn't mean that there are objective ways to look at it, but everybody's objective ways are going to be subjective to themselves. So it's like my objective way of looking at a movie is only objective to me, which still makes it a subjective, objective way of looking at it. So, which is weird, but like everybody's gonna look at a movie differently, and it's very important to remember that. So I like I said, I like this movie. Nice, nice. But yeah, no, it's just it's really important to remember. It's great having conversations with people who feel the exact opposite about you. I mean, and that's with anything in life, like not just movies. Like that's how you can learn, whether it be like with the things you aren't supposed to bring up in conversation. Um, but like you that's how you learn about people, like you and how you learn about yourself. So it's very very important to have those discussions. So like I said, I hope that we could maybe do some of that. And
Yeah,
Simon
too.
says the subjective truth is that I'm always objectively right, which is correct except for me. um any closing thoughts?
I'm very much looking forward to next week's show. I will not have I will be less sweaty. I'll be clean. I'm gonna bathe after this, just in case anyone was worried about my hygiene. Um, Honestly, I'm way more like a cat than people realize. I'm like very particular about being filthy. So yeah, I'm hoping that the week treats everybody well. I hope that people can have respectful discourse about movies in the meantime, and that hopefully there's a little less vitriol by this time next week. Probably not going to happen, but I can't wait to be back. Same time, same place next Saturday, November the 13th. And I can actually tease that we have a special guest next week. Oh gosh, is Trevor gone? Trevor might be gone. Oh dear.
Oh my god,
Oh,
I can hear you.
oh. Okay, good. He can hear me. That's all that matters. Um, we have a special guest that's going to be on next week's show, William Bibiani, um, person of Salt Cat Soap, person of the Schmodown, a person of movie opinions, and also of the critically acclaimed podcast. So we will be joined by him next week. So please tune in. I'm. Are you there, Trevor?
I think I'm back. I
Okay,
think I
good. You're
think
back.
I'm
I just
here.
wanted to be
I
sure.
missed our guest though.
Oh, you missed the guest.
Yes.
It is one William Bibiani.
Ooh, how fun. I'm sure we'll be talking about soap.
I distinctly hope we're talking about soap.
We should be talking about soap.
All right,
Um,
everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please sure to like, share, and subscribe because I never ever say it. And there's programming in my head that says I should. So on that note, I'm gonna leave us with this beautiful image.